whether you don't like it, you get up and you make the commitment to love, provide, protect, and do what God called us to do as men. In Christianity, we do the same thing. We get up every day and we make the commitment to walk the walk, talk the talk, be the example, and be what God called us to be.
Man, you said something right there, certainly. And again, you know, I look up to you for that reason. As a single, you know, man that's not married, you know, I think a lot of times it's hard to connect Christianity and marriage and those types of things. So thank you for leading by example in that. What would you say the crossroads or life-changing moment was in your life that just, you know, made you want to do the things that you're doing now?
Actually, I was listening to Coach Smith talking. It was somewhat similar. Around about 17, like I said, when I moved over here at 13, started hanging with the wrong crowd, wrong people, doing stuff I knew my upbringing. I knew in my upbringing I ain't had no business doing. And around 17, I had a dream, and to make a long story short, God showed me, said, listen, if you keep down this path, you're going to end up in jail or you're going to end up dead. And he showed me both. He said, you do what I asked you to do. I open up doors when there can't no man close. And at 17, I came home. I threw away every tennis shoe, every jean, every jersey I had, and I went and brought nothing but Stacy, slacks, button down, and I watched God open up doors. I watched him do what no man can do, what I couldn't do for myself. And that was one of the hugest turning points in my life. It's really pulling my pants up around my waist and walking like God wants us to walk. Another one was another one had to be when I was in school. Now when I was in college, I played spring 04, and so I went through college a good 4 years. And about an 08, as the old people say, God knocked me off my high horse. And we all know we can go to college and you can be in a fraternity, you can be an organization, you can be Mr. Popular, Mr. Know-It-All, everybody loves you, and you're not holding any positive influence. And I watched God knock me off my high horse, and one of the greatest, which to this day, it didn't like going through it, but it was one of the greatest things I ever went through, because it brought me closer to Him. It brought me closer to Him, which thereby bring me on through.
That's one thing about life, you know, God doesn't put us through anything that, you know, He knows we can't handle, and sometimes we have the biggest life lessons in the times of adversity, for sure. So, you know, sometimes we have to even thank God for those tough times, because, you know, you learn a lot from them, definitely. Last question for you. I want to talk a little bit with you about, you know, your call to the ministry. And you answered that call. And it's a question that it's always intrigued me about ministries who receive the call. How did you exactly know, you know, that God was calling you to do this? I mean, did He speak to you? I mean, how did you know, and when did you know it was time to accept that call?
Once again, a lot of these questions, I was just talking to these young men stuff the other day. About 13 and 15 years old, I used to always grow up and I used to tell all my friends, family, and everybody, I only want to do two things. One was play basketball and preach. And I had a joke with my great-grandmother. I told her, I said, I'm going to play ball, and at halftime, I'm going to preach. Now, at 15, I stopped playing ball. There's no other choice. I had nothing else that I wanted to do. Now, that didn't mean I accepted my calling, of course, at 15, because at that age, I wanted to run the world. I wanted to do things how I wanted to do, and not be submissive to His will. And so, how I knew was simple. There's no other thing I would rather do. Secondly, is the conviction. If you ever had something you had to do and you didn't do it, whether it was school, whether it was taught to somebody that you needed to talk, whatever it was, and you didn't do it, and your conscience, as we call it, eats you up, that's your spirit convicting you. It's the same way. When you know, when you're sitting in church or you're sitting somewhere, you know, I'm supposed to be up there. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And your spirit convicts you more and more, that's how I knew. Now, what made me do it, after I was telling young minister, man, God will, when you don't do His will, He will, as He said in the Word, He will chasten His people He loved. He would chasten those that He loved, and He did it. He did it until I walked into the church with my hands raised and told the pastor, hey, I submit, I surrender. And it has been beautiful ever since.
These are all powerful, powerful experiences. And again, you know, the biggest thing I got from that was leading by example. Again, in unity and leading by example go hand in hand. You know, when you show people the right way, not just tell them the right way, they can become unified, and they want to become unified with you. And I think God has a way of bringing his people together to do his work. And, you know, that essentially that's what I think unity is all about. So thank you so much for coming today. Thank you to all the guests. Let's give a round of applause for all of our guests today. And at this point, you know, we're gonna do something maybe that's not done at a lot of talk shows, but we have Brother Marlon out here in the crowd, and we want to take a few questions from the audience,